My rival since middle school just became my arranged marriage partner. The acceptance letter to Hanazono University's prestigious business program sat on my desk, still unopened. Not because I was nervous about getting in, I'd aced every entrance exam, but because I knew she'd got me in too. Daichi-san, your mother and I have wonderful news. My father's voice boomed up the stairs with that particular forced enthusiasm that meant I was about to hate whatever came next. I descended to find both parents seated formally in the living room, which was never a good sign. My father, normally glued to his phone managing the family's tech conglomerate, had actually put it down. My mother was pouring tea with the kind of deliberate precision that screamed intervention. We've finalized a business arrangement that will secure our family's future, Father began, using his boardroom voice. The Tanaka Hotel Group has agreed to merge with our company. I nodded politely. Corporate mergers were announced at dinner the way other families discuss the weather. To cement this partnership, we've arranged for you to marry Ren Tanaka. Everything stopped. What? Now, Daichi, I know you two have history. History? History? I ran my hand through my hair trying to process. That brilliant, infuriating, impossibly stubborn, I caught myself before the string of increasingly revealing adjectives could continue. She's been my academic rival since we were 12. She thinks I'm the worst person on the planet. My mother set down her teacup with a knowing smile. We're aware you two are competitive. But the Tanaka family agreed when we specifically requested their daughter. We thought you'd be pleased. My brain short-circuited trying to process that information. They thought I'd be pleased. The engagement party is next week. Father continued, as if he hadn't just handed me everything I'd ever wanted in the absolute worst way possible. I suggest you two start getting acquainted. I stared at my phone for a solid minute before typing anything. Me. So. This engagement thing. Ren Tanaka. Don't. Me. I was just gonna say congratulations. Ren. You are enjoying this. Is it that obvious? Ren. I'm going to find a way out of this arrangement. Me. Good luck with that. I'm very motivated to see it through. Arrang, why? I stared at that single word for a long moment, wondering if I should just tell her the truth. But Ren responded to actions better than words. Me. I'll explain at school tomorrow. Try not to plot my murder before then. The next day at school, I planned my approach carefully. Ren hated being caught off guard, so naturally, I was going to do exactly that. I spotted her at her locker, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail that somehow made her look both professional and effortlessly beautiful. She was wearing the standard uniform, but she'd added her own touches, a few pins on her blazer, the sleeves rolled precisely to her elbows. Everything about Ren was intentional. Morning, fiancée, I said, leaning against the locker next to hers. She didn't even look at me. Go away, Daichi. Can't. We need to talk about the engagement party. There's nothing to talk about, because I'm finding a way out of this. She slammed her locker shut and finally met my eyes. You can't possibly actually want this. God, she was cute when she was angry. Her nose scrunched up slightly, and there was that little fire in her dark eyes that had captivated me since we were kids. Can't I? I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Maybe I have my reasons. Name one. You're brilliant. I counted on my fingers, watching her expression shift from annoyed to confused. Driven, passionate about everything you do. Terrible at hiding your emotions, which is honestly adorable. I am not adorable. Her face flushed, which only proved my point, and you're the only person who's ever challenged me at anything. I was close enough now to catch the scent of her shampoo, something citrus. Why wouldn't I want to marry you? Because we're rivals. We've competed over everything since middle school. Exactly, I grinned. Who else would I marry? Someone who just agrees with everything I say? That sounds boring as hell. You're insane. About you. Absolutely. Her eyes widened, and for a moment I thought I'd finally gotten through to her. Then footsteps echoed down the hallway. Oh my god, it's true. You two are actually engaged. Miki, Ren's best friend and the school's most accomplished gossip, appeared like she'd materialized from thin air, eyes high gleaming with delight. Ren stepped back from me quickly. Miki, it's not what. This is the most romantic thing that's ever happened at this school. Academic rivals forced into marriage. Miki grabbed Ren's hand, examining her bare ring finger. Wait, where's the ring? Daichi, you didn't get her a ring yet? The engagement party's next week, I explained. I'm planning something special. He's not getting me a ring because this engagement isn't happening, Ren said firmly, but her cheeks were still flushed. Miki looked between us and grinned. You two are so into each other, it's painful to watch. The denial phase is strong. There is no, Ren started. I should get to class, I interrupted, because I could see Ren's frustration building, and I wanted to quit while I was ahead. See you later, Ren. I walked away feeling her glare burning into my back, and couldn't stop smiling. The engagement party arrived faster than I would have liked, and I'd been looking forward to it. I'd changed outfits 4 times, which was ridiculous. I'd never cared about appearances before, but this was different. This was Ren. I finally settled on a black suit, perfectly tailored, with a silver tie that matched the ring box in my pocket. The ring I'd spent 3 weeks selecting, wanting something perfect for someone who was impossible to impress. You're going to wear a hole in the floor, my mother said from the doorway, elegant in a deep red gown. I'm fine. You've never been nervous about anything in your life. She smiled knowingly. Must be quite a girl. You have no idea. The Tanaka estate was impressive. Traditional architecture blended seamlessly with modern luxury. Our family's combined wealth was on full display, but all I cared about was finding Ren. I spotted her across the garden, and my brain completely short-circuited. She wore a midnight blue dress that fit her perfectly, hair down for once instead of in her usual practical ponytail. She looked uncomfortable in heels, shifting her weight slightly, and somehow that made her even more beautiful, like she was doing this despite hating every minute. She was talking to some business associate, nodding politely with that expression she wore when she was bored but too well-mannered to show it. I'd seen it 1,000 times in class. When she finally escaped and caught me staring, she raised an eyebrow. Are you going to stand there all night, or actually talk to me? I crossed to her, unable to stop smiling. You look uncomfortable, she finished. These shoes are torture devices. I was going to say breathtaking, but sure, let's go with uncomfortable. She rolled her eyes, but I caught the hint of a smile. Did you want something, or are you just here to be annoying? Come with me. I held out my hand. Please. She eyed my hand suspiciously. Why? Just trust me. After a long moment, she took my hand, and I led her to a quieter balcony overlooking the gardens. Once we were alone, I pulled the small box from my pocket. If we're doing this engagement thing, you should have a ring. Her eyes widened. Daichi, we're not actually. I opened the box, watching her expression carefully. The sapphire caught the light perfectly, a simple silver band, with a stone that exactly matched her dress. I'd paid attention to every detail, remembered every offhand comment she'd made over the years. It's my birthstone, she said quietly, reaching out but not quite touching it. How did you? I remember everything about you, Ren. I took the ring from the box, like how you tap your pen exactly 3 times before every exam. How you scrunch your nose when you're really concentrating. That you hate sweet coffee but drink it anyway because you can't be bothered to specify. I took her hand, and she didn't pull away. The way you always help people, even when you're pretending to be too competitive to care. Stop. Her voice was smaller than I'd ever heard it. Just stop. Why? I slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Because it's easier to think I don't actually care. That this is all some game to me, isn't it? I kept her hand in mine, thumb tracing over the ring. I've been in love with you since 9th grade, when you destroyed me in the debate championship and then stayed after to help me improve my argument structure. You're competitive but never cruel. Brilliant but still kind. And I've spent 4 years trying to get your attention the only way I knew how. By being the most annoying person on the planet? I grinned. Did it work? I think about strangling you at least 5 times a day, but you think about me. I stepped closer, watching her eyes track the movement. That's a start. This is insane. But she didn't pull her hand away. We barely tolerate each other. Is that what we're calling it? I reached up, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Because from where I'm standing, you've been the center of my world for 4 years, and I'm just waiting for you to notice. The party was in full swing when we returned. Business associates networking, families mingling, the usual corporate circus. I was making polite conversation with someone's uncle about market trends when I noticed Ren across the room. She was surrounded by a group of young business associates, and one guy in particular had positioned himself too close. He was tall, polished in an expensive suit, and currently leaning in to whisper something that made Ren's polite smile tighten into something forced. I recognized that expression. She used it when she was uncomfortable but trying to stay professional. I excused myself mid-sentence and crossed the room. "Excuse me," I said smoothly, sliding my arm around Ren's waist. "I need to borrow my fiancée for a moment." The guy's eyes sharpened. "Fiancée? I heard the engagement was just a business arrangement." "Then you heard wrong." I kept my tone light, but let enough edge show through. "It's very much real." Ren looked up at me, and I couldn't quite read her expression. Was that annoyance? Relief? "I was just explaining that to Kenji here," she said, and I caught the slight emphasis on his name. She wanted me to know who he was. Though he seemed skeptical. "Are you skeptical now?" I asked Kenji directly, keeping my arm firmly around Ren. He raised his hands in surrender. "My mistake. Congratulations to you both." I steered Ren away toward a quieter hallway, and the moment we were alone, she pulled away from me. I had that handled. "You looked uncomfortable." "I was fine." "Ren, you were about to fake a medical emergency. I know your tells." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. "Maybe a little uncomfortable." "Who was he?" "Nobody important. Just some corporate climber who thought an arranged engagement meant I was still available." She crossed her arms. "Not that I need you to rescue me. I know you don't." I stepped closer. "But that doesn't mean I'm going to stand there and watch someone make you uncomfortable. Why do you even care? Are you seriously asking me that?" I caught her hand, the one wearing my ring, because I'm pretty sure I just spent the last hour explaining exactly why I care. Before she could respond, Miki appeared around the corner, slightly breathless. "Daichi. Thank God. Ren's ex is here." Every muscle in my body tensed. "Ex. Takeshi," Ren said shortly. "My mistake from last year." "Mistake how?" "We dated for 3 months before I realized he was more interested in my family's connections than me." My jaw clenched. "And now he's here? Looking extremely drunk and extremely bitter about the engagement," Miki added. "He's been asking for Ren." I took Ren's hand. "Where is he?" "We found Takeshi in the main hall, loud enough that guests were starting to stare. He was handsome, in a generic way, the kind of guy who peaked in high school and never got over it. When he spotted Ren, his face twisted into something ugly. There she is, the ice princess herself." He stumbled forward, and I instinctively moved in front of Ren. "Too good for everyone, but Daddy finds you a nice rich husband, and suddenly, I think you should leave," I said, keeping my voice level. "And who are you, the arranged husband?" Takei laughed bitterly. "Good luck with that. She doesn't actually care about anyone but herself." "You're wrong." The words came out harder than I intended. She cares deeply about everything and everyone. She just had enough self-respect not to waste it on someone who only saw her as a networking opportunity. "Daichi." Ren touched my arm. "It's fine." It's not fine. I turned to her, and I could feel my composure cracking. You deserve better than this. Better than someone who made you feel like you weren't enough. I never said. You didn't have to. I caught her face gently, thumb brushing her cheek. You deserve someone who knows your favorite color is actually green, not blue, but you wear blue because you think it looks more professional. Who remembers that you stress bake at 2 a.m. and always make too much because you secretly like sharing with people? Who knows you pretend to hate romantic comedies, but you've watched every single one? I was vaguely aware that half the party was watching us now, but I didn't care. You deserve someone who's been completely gone for you since 9th grade and has spent every single day since trying to figure out how to tell you. Her eyes were wide, lips parted in surprise. How do you know all that? Because I've been paying attention for 4 years, Ren. Because when you're in a room, I can't look at anything else. Because She kissed me. It wasn't gentle or tentative. She grabbed my tie and pulled me down and kissed me in front of half of Tokyo's business elite and her drunk ex and probably both our parents. For a second, I was too shocked to respond. Then my arms came around her waist, lifting her slightly off those heels she hated, and I kissed her back like I'd been wanting to for 4 years. Someone, probably Miki, started cheering. Other guests joined in with polite applause. When we finally broke apart, Ren was looking at me like she was seeing me for the first time. So, I said, slightly breathless, still holding her, does this mean you're keeping the ring? We ended up back on the balcony, away from the party chaos and Miki's increasingly detailed commentary on our kiss. I can't believe I just did that, Ren said, face still flushed. I can. I was leaning against the railing, unable to stop looking at her. You've never done anything halfway in your life. This is insane. We've been rivals for years. Have we though? I pulled her closer, hands settling on her waist. Or were we just two competitive people who didn't know how else to interact? She looked up at me, and in the moonlight I could see the exact moment her defenses started to crack. When did you actually fall for me? You said 9th grade, but the debate championship. You were wearing that green sweater, your actual favorite color, and you were so passionate about environmental policy that you forgot to be nervous. I smiled at the memory. Afterwards, when I was sulking about losing, you found me and said your rebuttal in the second round was genuinely brilliant. If you'd opened with that framework instead of the economic argument, you might have won. You remember that? You helped your rival improve. Who does that? I touched her face gently. I was gone right then. Everything after was just me trying to make you notice me. Mission accomplished. She reached up, fingers trailing along my jaw. Though your methods were questionable. Effective, though. Annoyingly so. I kissed her again, softer this time. When we separated, she stayed close, head resting against my chest. I'm still going to compete with you academically, she warned. I'm counting on it. My GPA's gotten too comfortable, and I'm not giving up my plans for my own career just because we're married. I'd be disappointed if you did. I ran my fingers through her hair. I'm marrying your ambition, as much as anything else. And if I want to hyphenate our last names instead of just taking yours, Tanaka Hayashi has a nice ring to it. Or Hayashi Tanaka. We can compete for whose name goes first. She laughed against my shirt, and the sound made my chest tight. We're going to be a disaster of a married couple. The best kind of disaster. I pulled back to look at her. For what it's worth, I would have found a way to date you eventually, arrangement or not. This just accelerated my timeline. How long was your timeline? I was planning to confess at university graduation. That's 3 years away. I'm patient when it matters. I grinned. Though this is better, now I get to introduce you as my fiancée at Hanazono. Watch all those university guys realize you're taken before they even try. You're ridiculous. You're into it. She didn't argue, which was answer enough. My mother found us eventually, eyes suspiciously bright. Your father's wondering if you two want to make a speech. Pass, we said simultaneously, then looked at each other and grinned. Though I suppose we should go back, Ren admitted reluctantly. Before Miki tells everyone embarrassing stories about middle school. Too late for that, I said. I heard her start with the time you got your head stuck in the library staircase railing. I was checking if a book had fallen through. It was a limited edition, she caught my expression. You're enjoying this. Immensely. I stood, offering my hand. Come on, future wife, let's go be the most competitive couple this party has ever seen. She took my hand, the ring catching the moonlight. Loser has to plan the wedding. You're on. Though I should warn you, I've been planning this wedding since 9th grade. Of course you have. As we headed back inside, I squeezed her hand. For the record, even if you beat me at wedding planning, I still win. How do you figure? Because I'm marrying you. She rolled her eyes, but I caught the smile. That was genuinely terrible. You love it. And the most satisfying part, she didn't deny it. The party continued around us, business deals being struck, families mingling, our future being cemented in contracts and traditions. But for once, I wasn't thinking about expectations, or obligations, or carefully planned futures. I was too busy watching Ren plot how to absolutely destroy me at university entrance exam rankings. Some things never change. What are you smiling about? She asked, catching my expression. Just thinking about how I'm going to score higher than you on every single exam at Hanazono. Her eyes lit up with competitive fire. You wish. Care to make it interesting? Loser buys dinner for a month. You're on. She stepped closer, voice dropping. And when I win, you're taking me somewhere expensive. Deal. I pulled her onto the dance floor, where we proceeded to be exactly as competitive as expected. Each trying to lead, stepping on each other's feet, and bickering loud enough that our parents exchanged amused glances. It was perfectly imperfect. And exactly what I'd been wanting for 4 years. 3 months later, Ren would score exactly 2 points higher than me on our first university exam. I would demand a rematch. She would kiss me to shut me up. We'd both forget about the scores entirely. But that's a story for another time.